welcome. I am Bassem Girgis. I'm sitting here with the man behind all this madness, Michael Ferrara. Now, Mike is by far the most technical person that we all know, and every time in office that he says something a little too technical for us, and we kind of go like, oh, he goes like, come on, guys, it's common sense.
It is common sense.
Make no mistake about it. Nothing he says is common sense, and we're going to be doing this segment every Wednesday and Friday called Common Sense, and we're going to do something that to him is common sense, to everybody, probably 80% of people on this earth, it's not.
Okay, well guys, it should be common sense. If you're interested in high performance and high performance engines and everything like that, you really should have an understanding of it, or else you're going to make mistakes, and we see mistakes all the time.
So the first thing we're going to do in the common sense segment is higher compression ratio equals more power. Now, there's a belief out there that if you increase the compression ratio, you're most likely going to get more performance as long as you avoid knock. Right. Now, before we all go and increase our compression ratio, can you tell us a little bit more about this? What is compression ratio for anybody?
Sure. Okay. So, in a real basic sense, the compression ratio, it's the ratio of the displacement in your cylinder. Let's say you've got a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine. Your displacement in your cylinder is about 500 cc's, and then versus the space in the combustion chamber when your piston's at top dead center. So basically, when it's at bottom dead center here, you've got 500 cc's, and let's just say it's 50 cc's up here. So you've got 550 cc's when the piston's all the way down at the bottom of the cylinder. Then when the piston, I should say, goes all the way to top dead center, we've only got 50 cc's of space. So the difference between 550 and 50 is 11 to 1, or that's what the compression ratio would be in this instance. 11 to 1 is the compression ratio. You can change these numbers around. Basically what's going to happen as the compression ratio goes lower, you're going to see this size get bigger. So there's going to be more here, so there'll be more more dish in the piston, less dome is one way it can happen. And also other things, the combustion chamber itself can get larger. So there's different ways to make that compression ratio happen, and actually in the future we'll probably do another one of these common sense installments on how to really get the ideal compression ratio the best way possible. So in any case, the important thing to know is it's essentially just a ratio between the displacement in the cylinder and the space in the combustion chamber when your piston's at top dead center. All right, and so you'll hear different numbers of compression ratio. Nowadays, you'll see anything from about 8.5 to 1 will be on the low side, and on the high side, I think we're approaching, I know 12.5, but maybe even 13.5 to 1 on some of the gasoline direct injection engines. So that's what compression ratio is. And of course, with any myth or fallacy out there, there's got to be some truth behind it. So where did it come up that increasing your compression ratio increases your power? Well, very simple. We actually did this story on the first issue of Drag Sport. How many issues ago now? 200?
That's 208 issues ago.
208 issues ago, sometime back in, I don't know, 1960 or something. I can't remember how long it was back then. But in any case, in there, we actually put a chart in here also. And in this chart, it was kind of really handy. It said if you had this compression ratio and you were going to that compression ratio, how much percentage of increase you could see in your power output because your thermal efficiency goes up. It didn't actually tell all of the story though. So let's go and let's reveal what the whole story is. Higher compression ratio. Here's the good things about it, the positives. You're going to increase the thermal efficiency. What does that mean? Well, you're getting more useful energy out of every drop of fuel that you're burning. And so that more energy from the fuel, as far as useful, that means horsepower. So we're going to see more horsepower at the flywheel. And typically gasoline engines they're wasting about they're only using about 35 or 40% of the energy that's in the gasoline to make horsepower. The rest is going out in your cooling system, it's going out in your exhaust system. So you have less wasted heat going to those locations when you raise the compression ratio. So the negative that everybody knows about, and even Bassem alluded to this one. So this must be extra common sense. So the extra common sense thing here, as we get our alarm going off here, is that there's a higher likelihood of knock and pre-ignition when you raise the compression ratio. Here on the West Coast and some other areas. So this is kind of going away because E85 has a very, very, very high resistance to knock. It cools down the intake charge just so much with all its evaporation and taking all the energy out of the charge air. So while this was a concern in the past, nowadays on E85, people aren't really thinking about this as much. So now they're saying, you know what, I'm going to raise my compression ratio on my car from 9.5 to 1 to, or from 9 to 1 to 11 to 1, or from 9 to 1 to 13 to 1. And there's more negatives than we share with increasing your compression ratio. But first, let's just say you've got an all-motor car, okay? And let's take a look down here. And what we've got that we're looking at here, for an example, this right here is your BRZ cylinder head. So BRZ cylinder head, gasoline direct injection, high compression. This is the piston that's used in there. So we see there's a little bit of a dome to it, a nice small chamber here. And one of the things they do there, I think the compression ratio is around 12.5 to 1. And you notice the shape, it's all about the shape in here. What they're trying to do as possible, not choke off the flow, because they don't have a turbo or supercharger helping to push the air in here. So they've got to make it flow as good as possible. So this is the compromise that they kind of come up with, 12.5 to 1. Now let's say we have this engine and we want to raise it to 14.5 to 1. Well, if we go to our order and we look that up, let's just say we're at 12 to 1, we went to 14 to 1, and we'd be at about a 3.5% gain. All right. So we've got an all-motor setup, and we're at 12 to 1, and now we're going to 14 to 1. All right. And what did I say that gain was? 3.5%. So we gained 3.5% because of the thermal efficiency increase. So it sounds great. I mean, you know, we're using E85 now. Everything's happy. We don't have detonation. Well, how did we get from 12 to 1 to 14 to 1? Well, we probably had to close up this chamber a little bit. We might have had to close up the combustion chamber, mill the cylinder head, make this, you know, tighter and smaller, and try to reduce this number here as much as possible.
Fine, let's see if that works.
We're good? All right, so Tyler, Tyler, do we have any questions so far? So no questions. So just a quick review if you're joining us now that we're hopefully good. Okay.
It's a delay, but
A delay is fine. That's good enough. So we talked about an all-motor car. So all-motor car, increase the compression ratio. Do whatever you can. You need as much help as you can get because you just can't crank up the boost. So compression ratio increase. That's great. All right. And unless you're doing something to the fact that you're really choking off the airflow when you increase that compression ratio, and you're killing the volumetric efficiency or the ability for the air to get in the cylinder, you're probably going to come out ahead. So in that sense, that myth kind of holds up. You know, higher compression ratio, more power. For the most part, what you can do on an all-motor car, perfect, not a problem there. So let's take a look here. Here is the real killer deal, though. Let's say we are no longer all-motor. Okay. We now want to make some real power, so we're now forced induction. Okay.
Shots fired.
Shots fired. Shots fired. And I say this as we are building our B-Series all-motor project right now. But seriously, if you want to make a lot of power, force induction. Okay. Anyways, enough of that. So let's say your original compression ratio was 9 to 1. All right. And you've got, you know, you go into this tuning shop and he's like, oh, we're going to rebuild your engine. You should really bump up the compression ratio. We're going to get some custom pistons with your turbo, blah, 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 because you're on E85. We're going to crank it up to 11 to 1. All right. So here's Mr. 11 to 1. Okay. And then that's not enough for you. So you playing around your forums, you're searching your little Instagram there to try to get all that best top quality information, and you find another shop. Let's call them the shop. The shop tells you that you need to go to 13 to 1. Maybe I should spell it right. The shop. All right, so the shop, new guy, and over here. So, all right. So here's your different setups now. This was your original compression ratio. You've got your forced induction engine. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's a 4G63, maybe it's a VR38, I don't know. But you go and you do the math, and you say, or maybe they do the math, maybe they can do math. And the first shop says, okay, that's gonna give you a 5.5% improvement. We did the math, it's 5.5%. And that's about right, about 5.5% increase in thermal efficiency. And the shop over here, they say, no, that's not enough. I'm gonna get you 9.7. You're on E85, you can run high boost, you can run high compression. And you know, you're thinking to yourself, wow, I'm so happy I found these people. Because now, look, an extra 5.5% or an extra 9.7%. So on my 1,000 horsepower car, we're looking at 55 horsepower here, okay? And we're looking at 97 horsepower here. Who's got it better than me, right? Right? So
yeah.
I should go to the shop, right?
Yeah, if I have the number, I'd call him right now.
All right. No, you should never go to the shop. So let me tell you why. Coming up right now, let's look at what else is happening when we do this. Okay, let's go back to our diagram over here. So when we're at 11 to 1, we had a total of 550 cc's we could fill up. All right, so let's just say we're in the same thing here. We've got 550 cc's to fill up. When we're at 9 to 1, what would that be? 9 to 1 would be 450 to, so we got 450 cc's here. Is that right? No, sorry. 9 to 1, I will get this right. 500, 500, oh, it's going to be about, okay, now I'm getting crushed here. Let's do, what would, 500 is going to stay the same. It's going to go bigger. So what's 560 divided by, here, use a calculator. 560 divided by 60, what do you get?
That's good.
Common sense again. All right, 560 divided by 60, what do you get?
9.3.
Okay, that's so, that was, try 562.
562?
Yeah.
Divided by 60?
Divided by 62. Come on, follow along.
That would be 9.
That's close enough. So we're going to say 562 here. That's the number I'm putting here is the total amount that we can fill up. And let's go 13 to 1. So let's go, let's try 540 divided by 40. 540 divided by 40, what do you get?
That would be 13.5.
All right, so let's just say these guys are really pushing it. No. You know what? Let's do a 542. 542.
By 42?
Yeah.
That would be 12.9.
That's close enough. All right. So now, what do we have here? What is this number? Bassem, what does that number represent?
That is the compression.
So we'll see if anybody's following along. If Bassem is following along, we know you are following along. So go ahead.
Thanks for calling me out. That would be pretty much this number here when you increase the compression ratio.
Okay, so that's right. It's the volume of the cylinder, which is 500 for the cylinder, right? That doesn't change, but we've now got 62 cc's. More than that in the combustion chamber. This one we've got 500 and we've got 50, and this one we've got 500 and we've got 42. All right. So here's the interesting thing. When you change this number here, that's also the amount that can be filled up by fuel and air, right? It's not just the cylinder that can be filled with fuel and air. It's the cylinder plus the combustion chamber. So do this for me. Back on the calculator. Can you get my regular calculator? He needs ones with the big numbers and pictures on it.
Okay.
He's been doing really good with the speak and spell. We want to thank you guys for sending in the donations. Really helping out a lot. Okay, so let's talk about this one. So going from 562 to 550, let's go 550 divided by 562.
That would be 1.
No. Try again. Try putting it, you're in some weird, all right, try that again.
He's got a weird calculator.
That's not my calculator.
Did you get it? 560?
562,
560.
sorry, no, 550
Mm-hmm.
divided by 562.
0.97.
86? 9,
786.
0.9786.
86.
Okay, and do this same one over here.
What do you got?
542
Mhm.
divided by 562.
That would be 0.9644.
0.9644. All right. Subtract 1 from this. Or, yeah, 0.9786 minus 1 equals
Negative
Times 100.
0.024 times 100 equals negative 2.14. Negative 2.14.
same thing there. 0.9644 minus 1.
And negative 3.56.
Okay. So, guess what happened? You thought you were getting 5.5%, but look,
You lost 2%.
you lost 2.14% in the volumetric efficiency of this engine because there's no longer that space to fill. Well, that still sounds okay, right? Because if I did that, 5.5 minus 2.1, I'm still 3.4 ahead, right? And over here, I'm still, 6.2% ahead. So shouldn't I just do it? Well, wait a second. This is what happens at atmospheric. That's when you're not in boost. All right. Let's go 2 times atmospheric, 3 times atmospheric, and 4 times atmospheric. What does that mean in boost gauge language? All right, so this is 15 psi of boost, basically. This is 30 psi of boost. This is 45 psi. We're starting to get serious. And then we're at 5 times ATM. This is straight up Puerto Rican boost right here, 60 psi. If we want to really get crazy, we can do Australian boost, which I think is starts at 75 and goes to 90. But anyways, so we increase this.
It just keeps getting lower. and
It
lower.
doubles.
Yeah.
It doubles. So we go from negative 2.14 to negative 4.28. Over here we go from negative 3.56 to negative 7.12. Give me this number times 3. 2.14 times 3 is what? 6.42? Is that right?
Yep.
Come on. I don't want to be faster than the calculator. 8.96? Is that one?
Yep. 5.6. 8.5.
5.6, sorry. And what about 60 psi? So 5 times.
Negative 10.7.
Okay. And Australian. If we speak Australian here. Compound.
Negative 12.84 for the 75 psi boost. And negative negative 14.98, almost 15.
Oh, we're just going to call that 15. All right, negative 15.
So at 30 psi boost, you're losing 10.68.
10.68. Well, okay.
Negative 14.24.
Yeah, I'm broadcasting right now. I'll be there in a sec.
Negative 17.8%. Negative 21.36.
All right, that's enough. You guys get the point.
We get the idea here.
You guys get the point. Essentially, what's happening is because you lost this space here by gaining that, by trying to raise the compression ratio, you've lost the amount of space you have to cram your fuel and air in. And the higher the boost pressure you would have run, the more it's going to affect you. So somewhere around 25 psi would be about the break point where what you is somewhere around, and you're going to lose 17.8% by going from 9 to 1 to 13, and you're only going to gain 9.7. So right there, you know, what are you looking at? A difference of 8.1% loss. So you're going to lose 81 horsepower on your 1,000 horsepower setup doing that. So where's the good in that? So this kind of, especially on forced induction. So when you go too far with your compression ratio, if you're running very low boost, almost like all motor, and there's some forms of racing where you'll see a turbocharged super high compression engine, and if you check, it's usually boost limited. They're maybe limited to 12 or 15 psi of boost. And then in those cases, yeah, it's advantage, and then there's also the advantage that they're going to burn less fuel. And so it's a couple different benefits for that. We got a question coming in, or just we don't have the things working, Dan?
Just the quality of the stream isn't readable. You can't read the board, unfortunately.
Can't read the board. My handwriting or
no, it's
technical
the quality is like a
Technical
little,
difficulties.
yeah.
Okay. Well, guys,
We'll take a picture and
we're gonna try to figure out what the hell went wrong here. Very embarrassed that we started this out. Probably have to blame it all on Bassem's brother Kareem. I'm pretty sure he's pretty much 100% responsible for this. So I don't like to call people out, but I'm pretty sure it's entirely his fault.
And that's
we're gonna
common
figure.
sense.
Yeah, and that's common sense. I mean, he's the guy holding the camera. He's the guy bugging me all day to do this broadcast. So I'm pretty sure common sense says it was his fault.
well, when you blame me, now everybody's saying it's better. So.
Oh, sounds better. Hey, so do we have any questions, guys? We have any questions? Did anybody make this mistake? And I know I made this mistake, gosh, wow, 15 years ago, I think, with Project Time Bomb, Project Talon, that is. I once tried, because I knew I was going to be running race gas and stuff, I think I tried an 11-to-1 engine, just like this, but I was running about 30 psi and was wondering why I wasn't making more power with the setup. And I never really thought about this much until my friend talked to my friend Alan Lockheed about this, and bouncing ideas back and forth. We're always sharing ideas and stuff, and he got me thinking about this, and I'm like, wow, that's just so obvious. It's so common sense, and I'm glad we're able to share some of that. Tyler, we have a question.
I was always a believer of high compression ratio, lower boost.
Okay, so if you're a believer of a high compression ratio, lower boost, that's a great combination if you need to save fuel. Because in some of these racing classes where they have to go multiple laps, they don't want to take a pit stop, that's a good combination. And that will be advantageous up to about, like I said, the magic number, that teetering point is somewhere between 20 and 25 psi of boost. If you're running 20 to 25 or less, high compression ratio, the benefit of that can outweigh the loss that you get. So.
Can you sum it up before you go? I got here late.
Sum it up before I go. Okay, will do, because you didn't just get here late. There's lots of people trying to watch this thing, and it's been off the map bad as far as the quality going out there. So here it is. To sum it up, we talked about compression ratio, what it was, and basically it's that ratio of your displacement per cylinder versus the space in the combustion chamber when your piston's at top dead center. So when the piston's at the bottom, you've got 500 cc's plus 50 in your combustion chamber. When the piston's at top here, you've only got 50 in the combustion chamber, so that would make an 11-to-1 compression ratio. That was the first thing we talked about. Then we talked about the myth itself. Higher compression ratio equals higher power. And there's definitely, I erased it already, but there was a very good argument. If you've got an all-motor vehicle, it's a great way to go to get horsepower, because most of the time, the increase that you're going to get outweighs the decrease you're going to get. You're going to get an increase because of increasing thermal efficiency. You're going to get a decrease because of decreasing the volumetric efficiency. But even if we look right here, we're seeing these numbers here versus these numbers here. And in that case, if you didn't run any boost at all in these things, there'd still be an advantage to running a high compression ratio. But the thing that we kind of let you guys know about is the more boost you run, the less and less advantageous it is to have a high compression ratio. And in fact, if you're setting it to kill out there with your 13-to-1 engine running 60 pounds of boost, guess what? You would be better off making about 17.8% more power, or 178 horsepower in a 1,000 horsepower engine, if you were at 9-to-1 at 60 psi. So I guess that kind of sums it up.
Yeah.
So it's not to say that there's never a good reason to increase the compression ratio on your forced induction engine, because depending on what boost level you're at, there could be some reason for that, and that's really what it's about. But if you're setting it to the Puerto Rico or Australian levels here, definitely don't want to increase that compression ratio, because these guys are going to see the biggest benefit in having the ability to fill all this area in the cylinder. Another question.
Yes. Do you still produce physical copies of the magazine? I don't see them on shelves anymore.
Yeah. Well, open your eyes, buddy. No, just kidding. No, the problem we're having nowadays, and I'm glad you asked that. The problem we're having nowadays is there's less newsstands out there. I don't know if you guys have noticed it before, but there's less newsstands, and the places that have newsstands, they've moved them to the back of the store. Walmart used to have a great newsstand in the front. Now it's all the way in the back, mixed in with CDs and DVDs and all that kind of crap. And the best place to go are bookstores. So there's still a great distribution of DSPORT at bookstores everywhere. We're in grocery stores, convenience stores. We're still in the Walmarts and the Targets and stuff, but there's just less racks out there. Yeah. So subscription is the best way to get connected with us. If you guys get subscriptions, Tyler's always having these specials all the time. But you can, I think if you catch the best one per year, it's like $25 or $20, something like that. 12 issues delivered to your door. That's the best way to get it. And also, we're going to be supplementing everything that we have in print with a lot more video. YouTube channel. It's there that's really anti-American. I don't want to mention their name, India. But the problem is, there's another DSPORT out there. Yeah, nation of ours, or something like that. No, seriously, we need you guys to become subscribers on our YouTube and follow us here on Facebook. We're going to be trying some more Facebook skin.
Bring it thick skin. Hang on one second. It's doing it again. Okay, I think we're back.
Again, bring your questions. Bring some thick skin. And Mike does not mess around. He's extremely. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on Friday. Make sure